Well, good morning, everyone. This is Lowell Ann, and welcome to our success circle called Being Your Own CEO. This morning, there are just two of us. It seems that all of our usual participants are on the road and traveling and/or otherwise occupied with billable business. And as I said in the green room, billable business takes precedence over everything else, doesn't it, Craig?
It does, yes. You have to make a living.
So we had Matthew stop by for a little while just prior to our broadcast, and he had a business meeting to go to. And Jay stopped by for a few minutes, and he's at a conference in Seattle where he's going to be a keynote speaker this evening. And we had, or I had a message from Nathan, who is back in the Baja, and said that he wasn't quite settled yet, so probably wouldn't be able to make it this morning, and asked me to send his good wishes to everyone. So this morning it's you and I, Craig, and thank you so much for joining me. We were chit-chatting about crazy air flights and so forth in the green room this morning. That was fun. So welcome. And Craig, how would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, my name's Craig Hughes. I run a business called Who Marketing, HOO Marketing, and I basically work with my local area and try and promote small businesses online, get them visibility, and trying to get traffic coming in their door. That's the important thing.
Absolutely. And so as part of that, do you find yourself talking a lot about responsive and mobile and so forth?
Responsive is one of the things that people respond to. When they understand that their website, and often people don't have websites, so getting them online and getting them in a situation where people can find them is challenging at times. But when I say, well, we can make your site so that people can see it on cell phones, they're like over the moon with that. They like the fact that they don't have to do anything else. That just creating the website makes it visible on cell phones, and they're just they appreciate that. Responsive is a very big selling point.
That's interesting, isn't it? I'm noticing with my own use of my cell phone or my smartphone, there still seem to be quite a few locations or sites on that are not responsive. I mean, you can just little tiny print and so forth. I'm really quite amazed.
I did a survey the other day. I was working for a printer who also does framing and things like that. And I looked at the 12 sites that actually his competition. And of those, one of them was built in WordPress, and they'd used an old theme that was not responsive. And of the other 11, none of the sites were responsive.
My word.
Some of them were very nice looking on the computer screen, but when you looked at them on a cell phone, it was just such a bad experience. It was a waste of time. So.
Oh, my goodness. That's really interesting, especially for brick and mortar places, given the kind of statistics that we're listening, or some statistics that I've heard on a recent hangout, where the way that people use their smartphones they mostly use their smartphone to find businesses and find products, and all of those. Those are some of the main ways that people use their smartphones.
Yep.
It's interesting, yeah. Wow. So good morning, Paul. It's nice to see you here.
It's good to be here.
Oh, and your sound is really good, and so is your visual this morning. So have you made some changes?
No, I just angled the computer with the camera at a different angle, that's all.
Oh, right on. So we just came live. So Craig just introduced himself. So would you like to introduce yourself to our viewing audience?
Sure. My name is Paul Murray, and I guess my claim to fame is I'm a mentor.
Yes, you certainly are, and I'm very much aware of that. Paul and I have known each other through our little local host home office support team group. I think you were a member long before I was, though.
I think I was a member before you came to town.
Yeah, I think you were.
When you were still huddled up in the Arctic and the Northwest Territories, thinking about the warmer South.
Yes. Oh, dear. Yes, that's, 11 years ago, I think, that I came. So, yeah. So that's nice to have you here this morning. Thanks for joining us. And I might just introduce myself a little bit this morning. I really love working with solo entrepreneurs to help them find direction, stay motivated, and build systems that support and promote their business. One of the main things that solo entrepreneurs seem to suffer, and that is overwhelm. There are all kinds of things they know need to be done. They're not sure how to do most of them, and not sure whether they can afford to pay somebody else to do things, etc. So it takes a little bit of sorting out. And of course, one support that I really like to emphasize for them is the Google Plus experience. And two places that I always mention to them is to join the Being Your Own CEO community on Google Plus, and to join in, lurk around, watch these videos, and to join us, etc. I also do a 3-part Beginners Google for Business, where I introduce the integrated pieces, your mail, your contacts, and all of that. The second one is getting onto Google Plus, how to get there, and a tour around it, what it all is, what it all means. And then the third one is about, okay, so now that I'm here, what do I do with it? So I find that those 3 pieces go well together, and most people who take that training find it very helpful. So that's a much longer intro than I usually do. So this morning, about ways to monetize Hangouts. I guess we, in the green room last time, we sort of a topic for this morning. And so I did a bit of research. As you may know, I listen in and participate in quite a few Hangouts on Google Plus, and there's lots to learn there, let me tell you. So I remember, I think, Paul, it was you who made a note that on the event page that advertises this Hangout, you noticed where it said a ticket, and you asked a question about that. Could that be used? And at the time, I thought, yes, I think you can, but there are a number of issues that one would need to pay attention to. So what I did was I thought about that in relation to what I know about setting up but I also went to my Hangout Mastery group that I belong to and posed the question: has anybody used the ticket aspect in the old way of setting up a Hangout on air for the purposes of being able to charge for your Hangout? So, for example, if you were doing a training session, to be able to charge for it ahead of time. Responses, and Ronnie Binzer, God love him, he's so attentive to the members, his members, responded, and the idea of using that ticket piece in the old way of setting up a Hangout on air. It's not a scheduled Hangout on air, but it's setting up an event and drilling down into what's in the background, and so to use that ticket linkage there. So you could probably point toward, let's say, a landing page on your website, which would take you to a PayPal. I'm thinking maybe you could even link it directly to a PayPal page, and then PayPal has a feature that redirects, so you could probably direct the person back. But then, if it were a paid session, you would need to have a private community of some sort, or an unlisted live stream in YouTube. Anyway, my reaction to all of that was, oh my word, that is so clunky. And so from both the host perspective and from a participant perspective, having so many places to go and so many things to do.
Joanne,
yes?
As they say in Jersey, forget about it.
Yeah, exactly. So that was my conclusion about that. However, so that points to the reason that there have been at least 3 that we know of Hangout wrappers. That's the term that is being used for them. So the first one that I became aware of is called Business Hangouts. And then shortly after that, there was another one that came out called Webinar Jam. And there's a new one that is just in a beta stage right now called Crowdcast. And the people who have designed these wrappers, and what is meant by that is they use the basic Google Plus Hangout as their video recording, and then they wrap various applications and abilities around that Hangout. So that's why it's called a Hangout wrapper. So I did a bunch of research. I've viewed a few little Hangouts where people have talked about all of these, but I thought I might just kind of tell you a little bit about each one. I won't go into a whole lot of detail, but so looking at the first one, Business Hangouts is called, and these wrappers all have some of similar things, where people can go in and register. There's a very consistent link that can be sent out to registrants, and they allow you to go in from various other platforms such as LinkedIn and Facebook and so forth. and they load information to your calendar, and there is a sort of a way to monetize without all those various steps, etc. So Business Hangouts, it has a free version that they call Standard, and that allows up to 10 attendees. So that's basically the basic Google Plus Hangout. And then they have the next one up is called Lite, Lite, and that allows for 35 attendees, and that goes for $19 a month. And then they have, then it goes up from there. So basically what you're paying for is the number of attendees. So there are a number of people in our circles that really love Business Hangouts and are great fans of it. The next one was Webinar Jam, and it has landing pages and unlimited attendees, and it includes emails. So if people register, then you can choose to have it uploaded to your autoresponder, such as MailChimp or the others. And lots of analytics, some ways of doing things, and some comment trackers and so forth. So it's got lots of probably about 50 features, which I certainly won't go into. But that's a one-time fee for $3.97 a year. So I guess that works out to about $33 a year. So I've participated with Steve Dotto. He uses Webinar Jam when he does his workshops, and he seems to really like them. And from a participant's perspective, it's really nice with all these wrappers, because they allow you to put in your comments, and you can see the comments that other people are putting in, and you can ask questions, and from the presenter's perspective, they can bring in film, and they can bring in all kinds of things that they want to use for their presentation. But the most recent one, and the one that is going to be, well, we don't know. The jury's out at the moment. There seem to be quite a few people sort of playing with this crowdcast, and right now it's free. So I don't know whether it'll stay that way. We haven't heard, but it's still a bit under development. The person who's doing it seems to be pretty open to adding features or changing things and so forth. But one of the main features that a lot of Hangout people really like is that it separates the comments, just the regular kind of everyday comments between participants, and the ability to enter a question. And then when the facilitator answers the question, they do a couple of things, and that creates a timestamp in the video, so that when the viewer goes back to view that video, they can see the questions and see the timestamp. So if they don't want to listen to a whole hour, they're just interested in one topic, they can find it very easily. There are lots of people around who do that time stamping, but it's a very time-consuming exercise, and this platform is going to do it automatically. So it's got a lot of the same other pieces. One of the other nice features is that if there's a question entered and the moderator answers the question, we know that those questions will be indexed by Google search as individual questions. So that's a little bit different as well. So And you can again you can go in and participate from Facebook and Twitter. Apparently, there's a plan to add Google Plus and LinkedIn at a later date. So that's a real quick and dirty rundown of what's available out there right now. And I have to say that I participated in a couple of crowdcast things in the last week, and from a participant's perspective, it was great. And I did a little bit of research to find out, what a little bit more about what it's like as a moderator, the person running it. And what the thing that I liked about it was it looks the same. The inside of the green room or the room looks the same as I'm used to seeing by doing a regular hangout. So there's lots of familiarity there. So if there's anybody in the listening or viewing audience that would like to explore, it's www.crowdcast.io. And you just go in and become a member and participate. Craig, have you participated in any of the crowdcast hangouts that have been floating around recently?
Well, yeah, I have. The feature that you didn't mention was that they have a polling feature, so you can
right, yeah,
poll, which is kind of nice. If you scroll down, it takes the live feed and puts it up in the corner so that window is always open. I kind of like the way it displays. The one thing that I miss is that if I want to go full screen with the live feed, it doesn't. I don't see that option. So so you're limited to partial screens for the live feed. But from what I've seen, you get very good engagement with the comment stream. You can increase your engagement with the polling, and it's nice to be able to ask a question ahead of time and have the presenter say, "Oh, yeah, I didn't think of that. Here, let me answer that question for you." And it also gives you an opportunity to say, "Well, this is what people are really interested in," and so the next time I do a presentation, I can refine my presentation to answer these questions right off the bat. So that, from a presenter's point of view, it's a very nice application.
I haven't seen I haven't heard anybody speak about the monetizing aspect. Have you heard anybody say anything about that?
I haven't yet. I have been in touch with the developer, and
have you?
Yeah, a couple of times. He's very responsive. It's a new application, and he wants to make sure that it meets people's needs. So it remains to be seen how to monetize that. I believe what they do is as you're logging in, it would take you to a
yeah, there's a registration. Like you can choose whether people need to register or not.
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anyone using a paid feature yet on those. What I find that most people are using is GoToMeeting, and that's one that you hadn't pulled up. From a business perspective, most businesses, that's their default go-to, and it's not inexpensive.
That's what I was going to say. The reason I didn't raise it was because I see our audience and my target audience are solo entrepreneurs, and I don't know of any solo entrepreneur, or there aren't many who could afford GoToMeeting. It's astronomical.
Yeah, I believe it's like $1,000 a month.
Yeah. I've participated in a GoToMeeting before, and it was okay, but yeah, as a solo entrepreneur, I certainly wouldn't be going in that direction. And the downside about GoToMeeting is that you have to download some sort of software onto your computer in order to be able to access it.
Yes.
And of course, the three that I've mentioned here, for the participant, you just go online, period. So that's one of the advantages of these three Hangout wrappers that I've mentioned. So yeah.
GoToMeeting has a new application called Join Me, which I think may be built on the platform we're using. I'm not sure. I've had a look at it, but again, it's priced not for the market that we're discussing.
No, exactly. So yeah, I remember
For a hundred people, it's $59 a month, and
yeah.
there's a $30 a month for 5 people, and $50 a month for 25, and then $60 a month for up to 100. So it's not as astronomical as I thought, but
Yeah.
it's one of the more pricier options.
Yeah, and so I mean the interesting thing about Business Hangout, for example, they have a free version, and of course we don't know yet how this crowdcast is going to go, but um, so I mean a free version quite likely will never be able to include any more than 10 people, but you know, sometimes that's all you need. It depends on I guess the target you're after.
For a small presentation, I can understand how that might work. Um, my the reason I'm looking at a paid option is we have an application we're doing a seminar, and there will be 700 people in the audience. I know that it's going to sell out. And
welcome everybody. I'm Mike Filsaime, and this is Andy Jenkins. And in this video, we're going to share with you.
Sorry about that. I hate autoplay.
You'll have to explain what happened when you finish your sentence.
I opened up another window and it ran an autoplay video. I absolutely hate them. So anyway, there is going to be a huge audience for this seminar, and if we could present it online and have people, I think what we're going to do is a donation model. We're going to allow people to donate before they get in. I don't think we're going to, because of the way that the doctors feel about the world, I think we'll probably just offer donations and let them in free if they want to come in. But we need to figure out a way that we can send them over to a donation site before they come in, and then redirect from the donation site. And we're probably going to have 25,000 participants. You know, the audience is potentially 5 million people in the United States. So when we talk about these presentation softwares where they're limited to 100 participants, well, that's fine and good. But when you have 25,000 people watching, I think my only option is going to be to broadcast inside YouTube, so that people can watch it live.
Well, yeah, and so the way how to get people to go to, or well, maybe I guess the question is, do you need them to pay to get in, or do you think that the participation would be enough to to get them to, if you gave them a link to a Patreon or something, so that
well, I suspect what we'll end up doing is putting a donate link on there, and presenting them with, a donation page that they can donate or view the video, or So eventually it'll be recorded and it'll be available on the website. So that'll allow the minimum of changes to the page, as well as, we'll just upload the video once it's complete, but we want to make sure that they can view it live. So
yeah, and seems to me, as I'm remembering Steve Dotto saying that in YouTube you can put a link that is, you can put something up there that is a true link to somewhere.
Well, we'll probably embed the video, and just embed the video link, and then when it's live, it will show that it's running live.
Yeah. Wow.
And then once it's complete, the video is not going to change. The URL isn't going to change, so it'll still be embedded on the page. So, it'll just go from being live to being recorded, and it'll be seamless for the website developer. That would be.
That would be you. Well, that's going to be a really interesting project. Yeah. So, Paul, I know that you have participated in a number of other kinds of webinar platforms. I know that Join Me, I remember participating with somebody who used the Join Me as a way to take over my screen and show me something. At one time, I don't think you could do that in Google+, but you can now. There is an app that goes in the Google Hangout that allows you to take over the other, or get to the other person's screen and show them how to do something. So that's a piece that is fairly recent, I think. Do you remember when that came out, Craig?
I want to say within the last 2 months.
Yeah, it's not very long, but I haven't played with it much, but I certainly have been thinking about it. Right now, I'm finding, because all of our networking, local networking, has kind of shut down for the summer. It's really hard to, and everybody's coming and going. It's really hard to find a guinea pig. So I need to find a guinea pig to play with that before I would ever try to use it with a client, for sure. Paul,
I'll play.
You'll play? Thank you very much. You're not going on vacation anywhere?
Not a chance. Why? I live on Vancouver Island in Victoria.
Yeah, I agree. It's there's never I can never think of a reason to leave either. Contrary to when I lived in the Arctic, I thought about holidays a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't much here either. Yeah. So
I want to go someplace that doesn't have permafrost.
yeah. Oh dear. Well, it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen in the Arctic now that the permafrost is beginning to disappear. We are about to see a whole new planet, I think, contrary to what some people think. Anyway, so I'm sorry, we're getting off our topic here, but yeah, so there are all kinds of things coming up on a regular basis, and that's one of the joys and one of the scary parts, I guess, of working as a solo entrepreneur is trying to stay on top of all these new developments and figure out how to make use of them, and that takes a while. So somebody posted something, fundraise. Is that for that's in the little chat room. I think Paul.
Yeah,
Paul?
that's another site you might want to look at for organizing donations. They have different areas. One of them, which is deemed medical, they're very good at targeting communities. So you might want to look at that one.
Thank you.
Aha. Right on. So, yeah, so I mean, there are all kinds of reasons that we want to figure out how to monetize. I guess from where the solo entrepreneur stands is to figure out how to put something together that would eventually almost become sort of a passive income. Um, but the project that Craig is working on behalf of an organization, I guess it's an international organization, is it, Craig, or just a national one?
It's a group of doctors that are located all over the world. We have doctors in New Zealand and Australia and London and and the United States, several in the United States.
The problem that they're addressing is certainly international.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, for sure.
So
well,
you can pretty much get funding internationally.
Yeah, would you like to describe that briefly? I mean, we're making reference to it because we had a conversation about it last week in the green room, but maybe our viewers are a little bit curious now. So,
well, essentially, it's a group of researchers that are working on. They're trying to find a cure for Crohn's, and Crohn's disease and irritable bowel syndrome are. What they're finding is that it's caused by a bacteria, and of course this is a very controversial thing at this point. But they are doing the research, and they've isolated the bacteria, and they're trying to find a way. One set of doctors is looking for a vaccine. There's a pharmaceutical company that's trying to put together a treatment regimen protocol, and of course we have researchers that are doing the microbacterial and genetic testing in New Zealand. So they're very close to a breakthrough, and it could be life-changing for many people.
Mm. Yeah, it's really quite an exciting project that you're working on there, Craig.
Really.
Yeah. So so getting back to the whole idea of the various ways that we can monetize what we're doing, that's always the tricky part, isn't it? How can we do that, and what ways can we do it? So crowdfunding, I guess, is what is kind of referred to, and there are several different platforms that you can do that on. So, and fundraise, as mentioned by Paul, seems to be another one directly involved in what you might be doing. So, yeah. So,
there are lots of fundraising platforms. Each has their own set of rules, and we're actually working on trying to get enough visibility that the Helmsley Foundation, who is already involved with Crohn's research, if we get on their radar and see if we can get a grant from them. So they could potentially fund the studies that are going on right now with one grant. So.
Wow. Yeah.
Keep our fingers crossed on that.
Keep fingers crossed, yes. Right.
Lolan, as far as getting to paid content on your webinars, one of the most successful lead-ins that I've seen, and I've seen it used a number of times, is where a person will do a webinar that creates interest, and it's free. When you sign up, you're asked if you would like to receive and they usually call it a tool or something of that nature. And what it is they will send you a interesting piece of information that you can apply, and they usually do it once a day for about 21 days.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of that lead-in, they ask you if you would like to then join their paid course.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably the most effective sort of lead into a paid model that I've seen used. It follows my buddy Gary Vaynerchuk's book, which he calls Jab, 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 Right Hook. So the jabs.
Oh, he has a book. I didn't know that.
Oh, he has more than one, yeah.
Yeah, he has several, and Jab, 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 Right Hook is a very wonderful book.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Jab, jab, jab.
Right hook. He said he wanted to call it jab, 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 right hook, but the editor said no.
Well, I've watched a few of his little YouTube pieces, and I got a kick out of him. He certainly has his own style, but I wasn't aware that he'd written a book. I must admit I don't know very much about him. He talks about this big crowd of people around him, but I have no idea what. I take it that they're into some sort of technology products, but I'm not aware of what they are. So, what can you tell us about him?
He's a marketing company with clients like General Electric, Nike, and he has offices in New York and and in Los Angeles. He's built it. I think he's the last. He said he has about 300 and some odd employees, which he built it up from. This is his second build. His first one was something called Wine Library. That's where he first got noticed. His first book was called Crush It, where he described how he created Wine Library. And as he freely admits now, you can't do that now. He says marketers ruin everything.
Yeah, I've heard him say that.
Yeah, coming from a marketer, I say it's good to know your strengths and weaknesses. But yeah, it's he's as you say, he has a style. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, and with Wine Library TV, I mean, he put in the time. He was talking to him and his mom for several years, and he would go on and do a 30-minute show on, I guess you would say, publicizing. He did reviews on wines, and he brought it to the masses. You know, and he said, you know, you can be hoity-toity and you can taste this and you can, you know, get the over flavors of blackberry in this particular wine, or
Yeah.
you know, you can enjoy the wine.
Yeah. Or you can just get a damn good bottle of wine for $10.
Right.
And this is it.
That's where I go. It's a damn good bottle of wine for $10.
But you can imagine, you've seen him,
Yeah,
Lolan, and his style. You
Yeah,
can imagine
yeah.
him doing wine.
Yes, I can. So for our viewers, if you want to see Gary V, you can go to YouTube and just do a search for him. And you'll find he does a weekly, and then if you subscribe, then you get a notification of when there's a new one. So
When you go to YouTube, it's the Ask Gary VEE show.
yeah.
Just type that in the search, and you'll get lots of stuff on them.
Yeah. I don't know how I stumbled on it, but I did. Anyway. So I think we've just kind of covered as much as we can in this broadcast about the various ways and the platforms and things that we can use for monetizing. There's the jury's still out about Crowdcast. We'll try and keep you posted on that one. So I want to thank you both for joining me this morning. I think it's time to wrap up with a reminder to please your own CEO community on Google+. You'll find lots of resources there and great conversations. And when you join, be sure to contribute what you are doing. I really don't want the community to just be about what I'm doing or what I think is interesting. I certainly would like to have our members post things that they find interesting as well. And if YouTube is your pleasure, you can also subscribe to my channel on YouTube. So this is Lowell Ann signing off for this week, and we'll see you next week. And thanks again to Craig and Paul for joining me this morning.